Everyone warned me to stay away from the Blackwood Funeral Home. They talk about history, abandonment, and structural decay. But I don't care about history. I care about what happens when you disturb a place that has been holding its breath for 80 years. This house was the central hub for grief in this entire region. Imagine the sheer weight of pain trapped in those walls. That's why I went in. I didn't go for a ghost. I went for the pressure. The minute I crossed that threshold, and the door was unlocked, like an invitation, the silence hit me. It's an aggressive, physical cold that doesn't just chill your skin. It presses against your eardrums, forcing you to listen only to the frantic, panicked drumming of your own heart. This house isn't empty. It is absolutely full of thousands of final moments of agony, compressed and preserved. I was looking for the preservation room, the core archive built by the last employee, Elias Vance. I knew he never left. He became the house's consciousness, powered by that grief. And I brought something with me tonight, hidden away, a piece of the memory he spent decades trying to reclaim. The terror wasn't that he was looking for me. The terror was that he recognized the memory I carried, and he locked the door behind me. I was trapped, and I had just given the most powerful, possessive ghost the one thing he was desperate to find. I moved through the main parlor. The atmosphere was so thick with preserved sadness it felt like wading through water. I could smell the old flowers, the faint chemicals. I had to know if I was truly locked in. I checked the front door. It was bolted shut. I hadn't touched it. I went down into the utility basement where the old cooling system was housed. That's where I first felt the true intelligence of the house. The temperature dropped instantly, like stepping into a cold vault. My light cut through the gloom, and I focused on that massive, defunct machine. And then, I saw it, a heavy, indistinct shadow on the far wall, stretching and snapping back, completely independent of my light source. I froze, holding my breath, staring at the spot where the shadow had been, realizing that something was moving, watching, and mocking my eyes with its impossible movement. My real mistake was investigating the cold spot on the floor. I pried up the wood, desperate for proof. And then, it happened. Not a sight, but a sensation, a sudden, powerful, hot DIY breath right on the back of my neck. It was physical. I felt the heat, the pressure, the presence of something immediate and immense right behind me. I scrambled back, gasping, convinced I was about to be seized. When I finally dared to look into the hole, I found his archive, a vial of hair and this antique music box. I took the box. I took a piece of his preserved memory. I had to get to the embalming room. It was the sterile, surgical heart of his obsession. When I touched the long, cold steel table, the surface where thousands of lives ended their journey, the air erupted. It was a searing, high-pitched frequency whine that tore through my ears. It wasn't a spectral noise. It was an electronic, agonizing vibration that made me recoil, convinced the house was defending itself. I found Vance's secret access panel above the table. It was a tiny, cramped space, and that's where I read his final, desperate notes. He wasn't collecting memories for science. He was trying to collect enough collective grief to reconstruct the memory of the one person he lost. He was trying to bring her back. I was still standing there, reading his final, insane wish, when I realized the music box I had carefully put in my pocket was gone. It was sitting on the embalming table. I moved to retrieve it, and before my hand was even close, the box began to play. Slowly, erratically. That's when the attack began. The heavy, antique closet door across the room started slamming open and shut with a violent, deafening crash, timed perfectly to the accelerating melody of the music. It was a manic, focused assault. He was attacking me with the memory itself. I snatched the box, scrambling out of that room, knowing that Vance's consciousness was fully awake, and it was furious that I was holding his ultimate obsession. I found the sealed utility door to the preservation room. I tore it open, desperate for refuge. The air inside hit me. It wasn't cold, it was hot, electrical, thick with contained energy. The walls were lined with copper plates, and inside, hundreds of tiny, sealed containers holding pieces of physical memory. Rings, medals, locks of hair. Vance's archive. I found the last container, labeled with his name and the year 1974. It was empty. He didn't just transfer his memories, he emptied himself into the house. And as I turned back toward the door, I saw him. He was standing there, not shimmering, not transparent. He was perfectly solid, like a man sculpted from cold stillness, dressed in funeral attire, with eyes that were absolutely black. He didn't move, but the temperature in the room plummeted. The silence was back. He just stood there, radiating pure, possessive demand for the music box. I tried to run, but he didn't need to touch me. The copper containers lining the walls began to violently rupture simultaneously, spraying the small, intimate remnants, the thousands of memories, across the floor. The heavy, steel-lined door slammed shut, plunging me into absolute, crushing darkness. I was trapped inside his vault. All I could hear was the distorted, deep whisper of Vance's voice, amplified against the metal, surrounding me. You belong here. You are perfect. New memory. I don't know how long I was in that darkness. I used every ounce of adrenaline to pry that vault door open, the sound of the straining metal deafening. I ran, through the embalming room, through the basement, and all the while, the faint, broken music box melody was playing everywhere, chasing me, mocking me. The entire house was collapsing under the strain of his unleashed power. I burst out into the night. I collapsed, gasping, shaking. I survived the house, but I didn't destroy him. I just ran from the memory. I drove for hours, convinced I was safe. I pulled over to breathe, to try and rationalize what I had just experienced. And when I finally looked down, there it was. The antique music box, Vance's preserved memory, his obsession, was sitting right there, on the passenger seat, next to me. I didn't put it there. He didn't need the house anymore. He used my escape to deliver the final piece of his archive, ensuring that his unfinished memory would continue its search. I am out of the house, but I am not safe. He is still with me. The cold room is still running in his mind. He took a piece of me. How do I get it back without putting myself on his final, terrifying log entry? Do I let the demolition crew find him, or do I go back into the cold? Comment and subscribe to our channel for more terrifying stories.